Well, I'm just saying, Brandon, give me a break here. Golly, I introduce you to a guy, and I give you a plug. And all of a sudden you
got to own it when you got it, man. You got to own it when you got it.
Well, I just appreciate it.
Welcome back to the program, Stephen Waguespack. Of course, he is the CEO of LABI. And by the way, I had when Juno was a LABI guy, I had him on many times. I told somebody I don't think I've ever met you before, and if I have, I apologize.
No, I don't think so either. You know, obviously I've listened for a long time, and big fan of most of the things you say.
You're smiling because she's over there laughing, but I'm not going to say who that is. She's actually a sweetheart. I'm going to leave it at that. Anyway, all right, Stephen, I read some of the things you said. I understand the gist of what they're trying to do with the Constitutional Convention, but without me putting words in your mouth, why do you think it's important? Now, I think it's a bad thing, but
sure.
I'm going to give you my reasons in a minute, but why do you think it's important, and what do you think we're going to accomplish, just in your own words?
Yeah, and let me build up to a little bit if you don't mind. Sure, so, I mean, so we represent employers all around the state, people trying to come here, invest, and grow, and it is a growing number of companies, big and small, who are basically, they're just saying, look, it's too uncertain, too unpredictable. Louisiana is hard to invest in, and that's a concern for me because that's where we get, prosperity for everybody. And so as we back channel on that, every year at the session, it's the same thing. It's the same version of the crisis,
For about 40 years.
More than that, I'd say. And what they always say is, look, we got no other options. It's either these bad cuts or these bad taxes, and, pick your poison every single year. And we act surprised every single year. We got this version of the cliff coming. And I say we got to get out of the Groundhog Day. And so if you go back and look at the Constitution, basically in the 20s, we drafted our first version of it, the same decade that brought us Huey and the consolidation of power at the Capitol. And in the 70s, we redrafted it. That's when Edwin took charge. We had oil and gas flowing in the state. There's a lot of money here. And so we basically took that 1920s model. We put a moat around it and a brick wall around it. We fortified it. The Capitol was going to be the kingmaker for everything. And then in the last 45 years, I think you look back and say, okay, what's this 80-year model given us? And I think it's given us, schools that don't meet our demand, roads that aren't working, an economy that's boom or bust, a government that continues to grow and grow and grow. We're the highest per capita state spender in the South. The bottom four states in the South, Texas, Georgia, Florida, and Tennessee.
By the way, I wish, and I've been saying that for a while, I wish you would explain this to the governor and all those guys when they keep saying, well, we're a low-tax state. We spend a lot of money. We're the
highest per capita spender in the South. And the bottom four states are the ones that are winning in the South. Those are the ones with the better schools and the better roads and the better economies, and they're not doing it by spending out of the Capitol. I think it's because they've got more local autonomy. They're allowing their locals to live and die by their own decisions. They don't expect the state to come in and be mama bird for everything. And that's where we've had for 100 years here. And so when you look at a constitutional convention, it's a document filled with tripwire and straitjackets. And we do think it's time to go in and make our Constitution look more like the federal Constitution, which is a document of principles. We view our state constitution as a safety deposit box. Anytime we have a good idea, we throw it in the Constitution and say, no one will touch it going forward. That's why it's been amended 186 times in 44 years, because It's just a safety deposit box. And if you trim it down, make it principles, and we get some of that power out of that Capitol and bring it closer to the people, we think we got a better chance of making good decisions.
Now, you said a lot, and this is what I want to go to next.
I always talk too fast.
No. I'm glad you did that, and the fact that I could ask the question of what's specific. Name some specifics for me, because this is why I'm frustrated with this right now.
Sure, I get it.
I'm not getting any specifics. What I'm getting, let's get there and let's get specific.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the driving points. You mentioned the budget, and they say, well, all these dedicated funds, it's hurting our budget. We can't do it. You've heard this, you've read it, you might have even said it.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is, they were dedicated. Lawmakers came to us and said, we want X amount of dollars. We said, we'll do it if you're dedicated.
Sure.
That's why it is like it is. Then they blame the process. They come back and say, whoa, this is screwed up. Well, who screwed it up?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I voted for tax and I voted for a dedication, I wanted it dedicated. So now we get to this point of, this is the driving force, is the dedication. Let me just be blunt with you, and this is what I want you to help me with
Please
specifics.
Do.
Yeah. Have you looked at what's dedicated?
Mm-hmm.
Higher ed, education, health care, and some other things, security. Stephen, they had a bill a few years ago, Brett Guyman and Lance Harris. They wanted to undedicate everything, and they got their rear ends beat bad. They got beat up. So when I hear people talk about dedications, undedicating the money, I think they're full of crap. They're not going to undedicate that money, because if you undedicate all that money in the Constitution, and you have to, remember, it's got to be ratified by the people.
Sure.
You're going to bring this back, and all this money that got undedicated, these people are going to beat the heck out of the Constitutional Convention, and you wasted your time. So talk about the dedicated money and undedicated money, because it's not going to happen like you. I'm saying you, but like people are talking about.
Well, higher ed and healthcare, the two that you mentioned, the dedications, those are the two that, quite frankly, don't have any protection in the budget. So every year when you got a $30 billion budget and it's really $3.5 billion that's unprotected, they're the ones that are left twisting in the wind. That's why every year it's either TOPS, LSU football, or hospitals who are used as the hostage to go and get more taxes. And so I would argue those dedications aren't helping what we think are our priorities.
But let me just throw this at you.
Please do.
Department of Health, $127 million dedicated. Department of Public Safety, $112 million dedicated. Department of Education, $104 million dedicated. Higher Education, $66.8 million dedicated. The lotteries, $159 million dedicated to education. The MFP formula, dedicated. You're not going in this Constitution and undedicate all that. And I want you to go back to what I'm talking about, because I want to be on the same page. Okay? This is why they're driving it to have the Constitutional Convention. And I'm telling you, when they have the Constitutional Convention, they're not going to undedicate all this stuff. That's what bothers me. We're not talking about what I really think this is about.
Now, when you say those funds are dedicated to education, I would say what part of education? I
don't have to break down. But
well,
let me tell you,
I'm telling you,
I got it coming. I'll have it probably by Monday.
Please do.
Go ahead.
Please do, because a lot of times those dedications, what you'll hear out of Baton Rouge is, well, that's going to education. The question is, what is it? Because right now, I've got a higher ed system that is bigger and more bloated than our state needs. We need more kids going to 2-year schools, not 4-year schools, but you can't really redirect a lot of that because the Constitution has tripwire in it. We got an MFP that doesn't really meet a lot of the needs of what our families need. Do I need more early education? Do I need more career and technical training? Do I need to shift some of those dollars around? You can't really touch it because the Constitution guarantees where those dollars are going, not really what it's going to. So there's no flexibility to amend some of this stuff. And so it's not just a matter of who the check is going to. The question is, what flexibility do we have to adjust over time to spend it wisely? And if I can't spend it where I need to in 2-year schools as compared to 4-year schools, or if I can't spend it on how we want to educate kids today with more choice options as compared to just the old brick buildings with the old pension obligations, well, that Constitution is not helping me much, even though it's going to education.
But do you think if you got in the Constitutional Convention, they're going to look and say, we got too many universities, we need to cut a few back? We can't afford it.
Well,
and our economy can't really afford how much government we are now. Now, let's be blunt.
Please.
The government, our state government, and I know they trickle down a lot of money to local governments. And we're going to talk about that in a second segment. But when I look at that, I'm going, hold up just a second. How in the world are you going to go in there and change all that? Bring that back to the people, and they say, hey, we agree 100% with you. This is going to be a lot better model. Because government wants more money. You know they do. This Constitutional Convention is not going to be about less money going to government. And that's the part that bothers me.
And look, let me be clear. A Constitutional Convention is not a guaranteed outcome. What it is it drafts a document that goes to the voters, and the voters are going to decide yes or no. So let's say you kill the convention. Let's say we kill it tomorrow and it never happens. Are you going to tell me that right now you feel good that the Capitol all of a sudden is going to stop raising taxes? They're going to start spending money more wisely?
But I do think...
we have a proven decade-long model. Decades.
I agree, and I'm agreeing with that.
Inefficiency and bad outcomes, and so...
But where's like the business community?
Yeah.
Where's the business community getting by and going and taking 4 or 5 amendments and making the changes they need to make? Why don't we get behind some amendments? I don't think we need to go behind closed doors. I think some of this stuff can be done, and a lot of it can be done the same way we got there.
Oh, no, wait, hang on.
Constitutional amendment.
Hang on, I got to challenge you on something.
Okay,
you said you tried the characterization of the convention being the closed doors. Now, hang on, we are living in closed doors right now. Because right now, in that Capitol, I want to question anyone listening right now, how many times have you hung out in that Capitol and watched how the process works? Because I watch it every day. And trust me,
I've been there some, but I don't go as much.
And I'm the one who's watching every day, and I'm saying we need a different process. Right now, we are living in a closed doors process. The way that this convention would work is you would open up the convention, and you would have elections where you would bring in people from outside the system. Look, originally, this had 27 insiders. We were one of them going in to draft it, and we said, heck no, we don't need more insiders going into a different room. I want elected delegates from outside of the Capitol to come in and take a fresh look. And then that new document goes to the voters. And if the voters see it and don't like it, hey, let's vote it down.
Well, no, that's the only good thing about it is that we
will
get the vote up and down.
We're going to get there.
But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come back because I got to take a break.
Yeah, please.
I want to come back with what I think this is really all about. And it's about 4 things. And I think if we get there, these 4 things, at least 3 of them are probably a bad idea.
All right.
But I want to talk about it when we get back. Stephen Waguespack, he is, of course, the CEO of LABI. He wants the Constitutional Convention. A lot of people do. So we'll talk to him in a few minutes when we get back, and we'll have him back on again. Hi, hello, welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline. Stephen Waguespack, my special guest. He's the CEO of LABI, Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. I've been on here many, many times during the years. I've had them all, LeBlanc, Dan Juno, everybody, and I'm glad. I hope you come back. My fears are this, and Senator Vitter will be on Monday. I think once you get in there, I made the comment that I'm worried about somewhat of what big business may do to cut a deal. Let's face it, deals will be made. We'll cut a deal with the big government people. And the things that I think are important are the 2/3 vote on taxes and fees. Are y'all going to take a stand for that before you go into it?
We would oppose any effort to unwind that. Absolutely, without question.
But see, I want somebody to say what you're
saying. I'm just saying it.
Because nobody wants to talk about it.
Unequivocally.
But on the flip side, homestead exemption is something when Juno was there they wanted to get rid of. Either all of it or knock 50,000 off of it. And you're going to have to explain that because to me, I understand it. But I don't want to look at the Texas model because they don't have an income tax. Okay, so it's hard to look at the Texas model. But I know what people are trying to do. They're trying to say, well, let local governments take care of their local business, and they got to have more money, and that's the way they can go get more money. But in our state, with so many poor people, and our economy is not growing, and we don't have businesses burning, that's going to be a tough sell with some people. What I want y'all to do is be honest with it. I'm asking you again, is that a focus for y'all?
Let me be honest with you. So there's 3 ways that government can and traditionally has taxed people. Sales tax, income tax, and property tax.
Correct.
In Texas, as you mentioned, they tax you on property, they tax you on sales, and they don't tax you on income. Here in Louisiana, we tax a little bit of all 3, but the homestead makes the property piece lower of the 3. But you still get taxed on all 3 here, okay? What I would say is, 1, I think the income tax is the most punitive, harmful tax that any government and our government can give. Because I think it punishes hard work, effort, ingenuity, getting up in the morning, going on, putting your boots and going to work. I think that is a harmful tax that punishes investment. So I don't like that income tax. And so if you went into the Constitution and you said, okay, instead of a homestead tax where people would pay more taxes locally, because if you pay a property tax, it stays local. It does not go to Huey's building in Baton Rouge.
Sure. What
I would say then, whatever dollar you pass there, that's what we can cut in the income tax and stop sending to Baton Rouge. So I would say keep your taxes local. If I'm as a taxpayer, am I going to pay taxes?
So you like getting rid of the homestead, but you like getting rid of the income tax.
Only if it's getting rid of the income tax at the same level.
But once again, I'm bringing something up to you nobody's talking about.
Well, we're talking about it right now.
I know, yeah. You with me? When I read your editorial right here, I didn't see nothing about the income tax. I'm trying to get it to fall out, Stephen.
Well, let me tell you why. Because in the convention, I believe that you shouldn't have the same old insiders going in and drafting this document. I want outside perspectives on it. We took ourselves out of the drafting committee. We want independent elections to go in. And so I want a fresh look at this because I think I go around the state a ton, and I know you do too.
No,
and I talk to a lot of people who don't have anything to do with the Capitol. And when you start talking about some of the issues we talk about, they're just dumbfounded that people can't see the common sense solutions on some of this. And so I don't want to get too prescriptive of what needs to come in here.
We need, to drive the Constitutional Convention to get people on board, we need to be a little bit out front.
Sure. In Texas, let me just say this real quick if I can. In Texas, since you pay more of your taxes locally, I'm not trying to say we got to copycat Texas because they're different. But in Texas, because you pay more of your taxes locally as compared to sending it to Austin, you're a more engaged taxpayer there. If your schools are bad, your roads are bad, your economies are bad, you see your local government official messing up your money, you hold them accountable at the Walmart or the pharmacy where you see them around town. Here in Louisiana, we send all our money to Baton Rouge, falls into a black hole. We don't really hear much about it unless we're listening to your show or reading something on the newspaper. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind. I think if you're paying taxes local, that's less you got to send to Huey's building. And that way we can get our balance back closer to the people.
I understand the concept. The point I'm making is, I think if you guys would be not honest, I'm not even looking for that. Would just be a little bit more upfront, saying, "Hey, yeah, we want to look at the homestead exemption, but explain it to people."
the income tax is reduced at the same time. I want to make sure you say that at the same time.
I know, but you're saying it.
That's peanut butter and jelly, man. You can't have one without the other.
You're saying it, but behind the scenes, everybody's doing this wishy-washy stuff. I don't want all that. That's why I think this could really be done with about.
You never asked me the question before.
It could be 4 or 5 amendments up front and do this without having the convention. And then if you're doing that, here's what this amendment does. That's how we passed 189 of them. Here's what this amendment does. Because when the people go to vote, you mentioned about the voters. If people get to vote on this is not one constitutional amendment that's this long. This is a freaking book.
That's why I think we've grown more comfortable with a convention is the only way to get holistic change. Because if you try to go with a 5-step amendment right now to try to get us more right size and downgrade the power and patronage out of that capital, man, it's a 20-page amendment, and you know what it's like. People go to their ballot box right now, they go look on the wall, they start reading the amendment, they get 3 sentences in, their eyes glaze over, and they say, I'm voting against that, it sounds tricky. And that's what people do right now. I don't blame them. Actually,
they say, well, I'll vote yes. I've never seen this. People will vote yes on a constitutional amendment. They'll vote yes on a constitutional amendment and don't even know what it is.
This is a 2010 document, Constitution. I grabbed this out of my office on the way over here. This is the one I had on my desk, 2010 document. And since 2010, there have been 58 amendments to this Constitution. And a third of them have failed. Mm-hmm. 38 of them have passed.
But no one,
if you walk on the street.
You made my point. They vote for them more than they vote against them, and it's going in the Constitution. They don't even know what they're voting for. Actually, I ought to be upset about this.
Well, then why are we defending a document we don't even know what we're putting into it then?
Well, but when you make the whole new document, I think you're going to have a lot of misnomers, too, because, there have been big business people out there. Look, there's nobody more pro-business than me. Big, small, I don't care. I love them all. Let's get the government out of the way. But you got a lot of business people said, I'll put $10 million up to pass this. That's going to be kind of what if it's a bad document, and then all of a sudden we got $10 million being spent on telling people how great it is?
And
that worries me.
I hear you. But look, big business isn't really what's driving this effort, to be honest with you. If you look over the last couple of years, who have the taxes hit? Obviously, business has been hit hard the last couple of years. But when you start taxing things like utilities, MM&E, operating losses, those things hit small business harder. I'll be honest with you. The big guys can go and adjust. They can go to another state, and they can bring their jobs elsewhere. It's easy for them. Those small guys are the ones that are getting hit with all these taxes in the past last couple of years.
I'm one of the small ones, and I'm telling you, when I read in newspapers, I'm not saying you wrote it, we need to bring back Stelly. That was a slap in the face to small business.
Oh, I can promise you did not see me write that.
Oh, I know that, but it's a slap in the face to small businesses like me and people that itemize. Slap in the face.
I got $10 on the table if you can find me writing that anywhere in the history of time.
Oh, I can't do that. I can tell you right now, I can go back to the general years and find out why they didn't want to get rid of the Stelly bill, and then they ended up jumping on the bandwagon. I could get you on that one. And I don't know where you were at the time.
My $10 are still on the table.
Well, look, if it make you feel better, I just give you $10.
I don't want your money, man.
I just think term limits is something I think they're going to look at, too, and the excess itemized deductions, I think it's still about $666 million on the table. Those are the type things that I want people to bring forward and talk about it so we'll know what we're talking about here. I haven't read one article, including yours, that gave any specifics.
Yeah.
When I read your article, tell Brandon,
let's look at it. You got notes on it and everything. Look at that.
Well, actually, I put Jay Darden right there, and I don't want to talk about God. By the way, you cannot look at my notes because my notes could be for something else. And you just have to be on the top.
Yeah, I see a cookie recipe on there. I don't know what that's all about.
No, but seriously, I don't think it's a good time to do it. I do think it's a good time to talk about it. I do think we can talk about it. I think amendments could fix it.
No, I hear you.
If amendments drove it into the ground, amendments can fix it.
And look, I'm not trying to say that's not a valid perspective. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I would also say it's a valid perspective to say, look, let's say we don't amend this Constitution. We don't have a convention of any sort whatsoever. Let's not pretend like we got a great model going right now. It is a broken model.
One other thing, let you comment real quick. If you have a government spending problem and your economy's growing, a government's growing twice the economy, you're going to always have a problem. You can amend this Constitution all you want to. You're never going to fix a spending problem. Try it at home. Try it at home. Take all your bills and put them over and consolidate them and it frees up money and then start charging things again. It doesn't work.
Look, not only do I agree with that, and you find someone who's been pounding harder the last couple of years trying to control spending. We've been pounding that rock for years. Man, the needle's not moving. The needle's not moving. Hey, let me get to your 2 points. One, term limits. Support them, want them to stay. I think they've been more good than bad, so we think we support those term limits. Two, excess itemized. What I would tell you is there's a lot of exemptions in the code. They need to go to be lowering rates, not inflating government.
Thank you. We'll do it again.
Awesome.
David Vitter on Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you.